Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst, Great Malabite, Emmanuel Efene. Malabite.
Good morning, Ruben.
Good morning.
Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Victoria Tundu. MK Abiola.
Good morning.
A navy blue blazer, blazing with buttons of silver. on a denim jeans. On this Thursday morning.
Straight from 19th century poetry, right?
Now let's start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record. Now the lead story, INEC will ensure only eligible voters determine next Anambra governor. Vows to prosecute election offenders. IG issues 10 warning, says heavy deployment to protect all. IPAC demands fairness, transparency from Commission security operatives. US threatens visa restrictions on violence instigators. Obaigbena thanks CDS, Chief of Defense Staff, Police Chief, DGSSS for providing robust security during Arise News debate. Yes, Ruben, you were there. Now, shows that it's doable. They can provide the security. So it's a pointer to the fact that on election day, people of Anambra State will be free to move around, not too far, to the polling units, to cast their vote, to perform their legitimate civic duty on that day. And I urge one and all in Anambra State to please just go out there, because security has been provided adequately. But we also caution that the security agencies, especially the military, should just stand far away and keep the peace and not intimidate anybody. I move over to the next story. Below the masthead, building collapse. Sanwo-Olu sets up 6-man probe panel as death toll rises. Appoints town planner president as chairman. Team gets 30 days to submit report. Femi Osibona, owner of building, friend Wale Bob Oseni, still unaccounted for. Now, the Vanguard newspaper is also reporting this, the collapse Ikoyi Tower story. Mistakes made on all angles, says Governor Sanwo-Olu. Document showing approval for 15 floor surfaces. Death toll now 22. As relatives search for loved ones, help rescue my son, man begs governor. Lagos State House of Assembly moves to summon officials. Government seals 67 buildings in Alimosho. While the Punch newspaper also reporting this story, Ikoyi building, death toll rises as Lagos probes collapse. Owner pastor missing. Building project sponsors whereabouts unknown. Sanwo-Olu named survivors. 15-story building plan approval, not 21, stated by Deputy Governor. Documents shows. Yes, I've read this report, and according to this report, the document shows that 3 15-story buildings were approved for that location. How did the Deputy Governor suddenly, quickly, sharply came out to counter the chairman of the Lagos State Building Control Agency, Bolawan Oki, who said the developer exceeded approved limits? That must be a very important point of investigation. You expect that the head of that agency should have better information, but the deputy governor came out to counter, because that will be a very serious indictment. That somebody moved from 15th floor to 16, to 17, to 18, to 19, up to 21. And government officials, regulators were all watching or absent. Now, the Guardian newspaper, government to blame for outrageous freight charges by foreign firms. High freight costs jacks up petrol price, not subsidy. Wasa insists over $45 billion cargo cost lost to foreign firms in 5 years. No Nigerian-owned cargo ships bathing on our waters, says Brown. NISA moves to set up $500 million maritime fund by 2022 to acquire assets for operation. Shore up trade balance with export expansion grant at DEFECO urges. Now, of course, when it comes to freight costs, our neighbors in the West African region are doing better than Nigeria because the cost of exporting or even importing is far lower in Benin, Togo, and Ghana. So, a lot of work to be done in Nigeria by the government. Now, the Daily Trust newspaper, NNPC spends 864 billion naira on petrol subsidy in 8 months. Remits 496 billion, skips April. There was no allocation in April. Fix refineries to get it right. Experts are urging. Now, if you see that graph there, 1.3661 trillion naira, what NNPC ought to have given to the Federal Accounts and Allocation Committee to share to the 36 state governments, the federal government, and of course the local government. But only 36% of that amount got to FAC. And 64% of that amount was spent on petrol subsidy. If I were the next government, I will look seriously into that. How, for a long time, NNPC said there was no subsidy, talking only of what they call under recovery. And suddenly they admitted, yes, we've been subsidizing and now shortchanging the Federation account, as it were. Now, the Daily Sun newspaper, red alert in Abuja. Soldiers mount roadblocks, conduct stop and search over feared planned attack. Yes, for the second time in 24 hours, Uni Abuja was attacked and people were abducted for the second time in 2 days. Now, the Daily Independent newspaper, finally, PDP governors agree to throw presidential ticket open. Nigeria's problem, not zoning, but getting credible candidate. Fintiri, is this official? 2023 general election, well, that's what the Daily Independent is reporting, that PDP has finally thrown open the presidential race to get the ticket of the party for the 2023 general election. Now, if we just look at the foreign newspapers quickly. Now, the Times of UK, Tories rebel over vote to block MPs suspension. Yes, Johnson criticized for colossal misjudgment. The Owen Peterson was facing suspension for breach of lobbying rules. But yesterday, the Prime Minister, of course, whipped Tories in line and they voted to have to reorganize the Standards Committee that had already indicted Owen Patterson. And now they're talking of that committee setting up an independent appeal. Boris Johnson seemed to be glossing over the standards, and many are not happy about it. Of course, Tories rebelled yesterday. 18 votes with which that was passed, 13 of course, opposed it, 13 Tories. Of course, another 38 abstained. So much. Ruben Rufai and Tundu, if you still have any time.
As far as I'm concerned, by Boris Johnson. I know everybody's heart goes out to Owen Patterson because his wife, took her own life. But that Tory sleaze that name has clung to that party. You should do whatever you can to shake it off rather than confirm it. And you and I remember I was telling you about Matt Hancock and Boris Johnson's misguided loyalty. The way he expresses loyalty is just really not ideal. I knew he was going to support his friend. No matter how you have erred, he tends to do that. And unfortunately, I think this is going to be such a huge scandal.
Well, quick comment on the tragedy on Gerrard Road. We have had Adefemi Akinsanya twice on this program this morning. You were raising the point about the approval, whether it was 15 floors or 21 floors. Well, actually, there are 3 buildings there. The one that collapsed, another building, and another building that was meant to be a gym. Now, there are some documents out there in circulation now indicating that the Ikoyi Physical Planning Office, right, actually approved for the different buildings, one 15 floors, one 17 floors, and another one 21 floors. But that the head office of the Physical Planning Department in Alausa, approved 15 floors. So now what you find is some kind of conflict in terms of approval and documentation between the field office in Ikoyi and the head office in Alausa. And what that draws attention to again is the incompetence of public officials, the failure of the system to keep proper records and to act on the basis of those records. Why would the Physical Planning Department of the Lagos State government issue two different kinds of approvals or directives to a property developer? That is one. I can forward some of those things in circulation.
So Dr. Bajir,
before then, just a moment.
Yes.
Another thing that I would like to recommend is a piece by Dare Babarinsa, the ace columnist, on the back page of The Guardian. And it's on this, Ikoyi tragedy. It's titled Nigerian God and the Miracle Option. Two takeaways for me from the piece. The first is that, look, most of the persons that died, even the persons who were involved, they fall into the category of what he calls Nigeria Anonymous. What kind of country do we have where we do not have, proper identity? Why should anybody be an anonymous person in a country, and whereas you are identified as a citizen? And he concluded by saying, okay, this was a building yet uncompleted. We have had reports of up to 45 persons. But when you look at it, he says, look, what if this building had been completed and it had been occupied? It will have been even worse tragedy.
Yes.
Even the loss of one life on the basis of poor construction is unacceptable. It cannot be justified.
So Dr. Bati, I just wanted to piggyback on what you said, that there were two, documents showing approval. So that document circulating online, claiming that the three floors, they approved
Three buildings.
The three buildings, they approved 15 floors for it. So that document is true. It's correct.
Well, that's from the head office.
So that
one
document
from the
is not
field
fake.
office is different.
Because they have come out
in a position to determine.
So they have come out to debunk that document as being fake. So that's why I just wanted clarity as regards
the question that will be asked: why would the deputy governor prefer the field office approval to that of the head office, and Gbola Oki has been suspended?
Yes.
Why?
Gbola Oki working in the field office,
Why indeed?
or is supervising the main office?
So,
Anyway, finally, on Anambra, earlier on before you joined us, I made the point that the Nigerian Army provided great support, and you made the point that looks like the security agencies are prepared. And I've given a personal testimony of the support that they offered when, Arise crew and team went to moderate the Anambra gubernatorial governorship debate 2021. Going into Awka, the Nigerian Army provided us security. Coming back from Awka to Asaba, from where we took off back to Lagos, they also provided support. And I was quite impressed with their kindness and how they provided support. And I can see that in this day newspaper today, the chairman of the Arise This Day group has specially commended, the Nigerian Army for the support that they offered to show that, in fact, the security situation in Anambra State is not out of hand, and that the military can provide the necessary support. And I reported earlier also how on our way out of Anambra State, we saw a long convoy of security vehicles, and personnel moving towards, Anambra
military
State.
assets, as they call it.
Yes, where military, police, different security men. And I was even surprised they had so many brand new vehicles. We usually complain about not having facilities, but I saw these brand new pickups, fully equipped and all of that. So, I'm echoing the chairman of the Arise Group, Nduka
Adding your
Baibena,
voice
to say that we have faith at this moment that the security situation will be properly handled. But I'm not just excited as a journalist, because as I said earlier, it's not about securing my life. it's about making sure that the stakeholders, the people who are going to vote, will be safe on Saturday, and that they will be able to vote.
Yes, you
freely.
did not add, Ruben, that you took off from Asaba Airport.
Yes.
In my state capital.
Yes.
Built with my state funds.
Do you pay tax in Asaba?
No,
you pay tax in Ogun State.
I'm talking of the allocation to my state, because sometimes they ask, what are the Niger Delta governors doing without the money? That airport you flew in was built by Delta State funds. Thank you.
Thank you for the Delta State chess meeting.